Hey guys, it's MarbleTyler here, and I'm doing another one of my a good movie review. And well, good in terms of I'm hoping the video is good. Of course, I don't want to say every movie is going to be good that I record. Real quick, the footage you're watching is from a game night that I played with the Act Man. We played zombies. He recently put out a World at War video. I'm gonna be doing some other stuff with this footage, but I needed some footage for this video. And you're probably wondering why I didn't just play the Tomb Raider game. I didn't really have time. It was a busy week. I'm in school and I have exams and stuff. So you're gonna have to settle for this for now. But enough about the gameplay. Let's talk about the movie. So this movie stars Alicia Vikander or something like that. I probably horribly pronounced that name, and I apologize. But stars a new role, new person playing the Tomb Raider role of Lara Croft, and it basically follows the 2013 reboot game. So it follows her. She gets stranded on the island, and there's a Hikimo, some sort of ancient god from a dynasty of some sort that has the power of death, and as long as she touches or whatever, and then she can control these other things. So it follows the plot of the 2013 game, and there's some scenes that are created one for one. Overall, she kind of like becomes the Tomb Raider. Goes from a nobody aristocrat, yada yada yada, and then turns into the Tomb Raider. The essentially Indiana Jones of video games, or one of the early Indiana Jones. Obviously, there's a lot of different versions of that now between Uncharted and whatnot. But that's the plot of the movie. That's the gist of it. Let's get into how the movie actually turned out. Now, the first point I like to talk about in these reviews is the plot. And honestly, this is the weakest part of the movie. It's a little disappointing, but recreating a video game one for one into a movie doesn't always translate well, because obviously you're going from a different medium, which is why sometimes books don't translate well to movies. Sometimes they do. It just determined on the application and how it's translated, and what stays the same and what changes. Obviously, if you want to stay true to the source material, but you also have to change it for the different medium you're in. And that was one of the issues with the Tomb Raider here, is that the plot doesn't make sense half the time. It doesn't always add up, and it just feels weak because it deviates slightly from the 2013 game. It's very faithful in so many ways, but it deviates from some of the major points that made the game interesting and that made everything really cool. And it focuses a little bit more on the character, and arguably, I believe that's one of the best things to focus on. I just don't think they did the character justice, and that's not because of the actor. I love the acting, and I'll talk about that more later. I believe Lara Croft was probably the best part of that movie, just the way she acted, the way she grew into the person she's going to be in future movies, and and the way she is in the video games and all this other stuff. That part was fantastic, the character development. But I don't believe they put any emphasis on who are the bad guys. Why are they the bad guys? What is this mystery? They kind of threw off the mystery, and I'll get into a little bit of a spoiler alert later on, so don't worry about that. I'm not spoiling anything yet. But why are these bad guys who they are? Is one of the major issues that I found with the movie. I just, it detracted, and it didn't add up. The character development was great, but beyond that, it was lackluster, and that was disappointing. It didn't make sense sometimes, like why things were what. The plot twist you could kind of see coming a mile away, and then even then the resolution, towards the finale, you could also see coming a mile away. So it was very formulaic, to say the least. Nothing too special, and that's kind of frustrating. But that being said, the setting was great. I mean, it was really good recreation, and it did a great job of not dragging Lara Croft from one place to the next to the next to the next, like the video game does, because that just wouldn't make sense in a movie. And I'm really glad they managed to avoid that situation. You didn't have to go from here to here, here to there, here to there. You're not killing endless bad guys. There is a finite amount of people. That was a great translation. That made it well. And if I reference a lot of the video game, for obvious reasons, in case you're unaware, this is a movie based on a video game, 2013 video game. I pointed that out earlier. But just to be clear why I'm referencing all these things. Now, I feel like the next thing that's really important that I like to go over in my reviews: how was it filmed and how was the acting? And truthfully, the movie was great in these aspects. I thought the filming was well done, especially the fact that they were able to recreate some things scene for scene from the game. Good job on the filmography. I don't know who directed this movie, but I think they did a great job in terms of that. And the acting, of course, the actor, again, I can't pronounce her name. I know it's Alicia. I'm not gonna try to pronounce her name. I'm not gonna, do that and butcher your name. But she did a phenomenal job. She did a great way of personifying the character and her growth and becoming what is the Tomb Raider and being able to do different things and not have to shy away from some of the more challenging things that comes with, being that I guess Tomb Raider, I want to say archaeologist that is like Indiana Jones. You have to do some challenging things. She did a great job of personifying that growth into that sort of character. The emotions were very believable. There's recreation. This isn't very far into the movie. You know what's going to happen, even if you've never played the video game or seen the movie, but seen a movie for it. Obviously, at some point, she's going to have to learn how to kill someone, and the way she does that in the game is it's hard because you're trying to personify the character, but you're watching the Tomb Raider, learn how to kill, and it's very emotional, but it doesn't carry over in the video game. In the movie, however, when you're watching the character, it was great because she had to do that, and it wasn't something that she could handle normally, and it was incredible to watch it happen. I thought the actor did a great job of personifying, like, just doing something that dark, of actually taking a life and learning how to do that, and what that does to a person. Great job. Filming, phenomenal. Acting, phenomenal. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler alert. There's going to be a timestamp on screen. Go to that time if you want to miss the spoilers, and I'll kind of wrap up this review. Now, what bothers me most is, obviously, the dad dies. I mean, you could see it coming a mile away. Spoiler alert, dad dies. I already put the spoiler there. Dad dies, and it was also, he came back. Is what it is. You kind of saw both those things coming a mile away. The issue was there's no mysticism in the movie. Now, in the translation from the game to the movie, they wanted to make it more realistic, which is understandable. Obviously, in a video game, some things have to be a little more, like, disbelievable, like an infinite number of bad guys, because you got to have someone to kill, otherwise it makes for, a boring action game, if that's what you're going for. Now, watching the movie, there was an issue where they revealed at the very end that the curse the entire time was a disease that the body had, and that if you touched it, you kind of turned into this, like, undead. I don't want to say undead, but you turn into a zombie. You kind of lose control of your brain. You try to, just kill everyone, yada yada. But the issue is, in translation from, the game into the movie, they got rid of, like, the mysticism of she's not actually a god. She doesn't actually have these undying abilities, etc. And so there's some points earlier in the movie, and then they talk about how the god, quote unquote, the god that of death, that Hikamo or whatever, Hiokim, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's keeping people trapped on the island. She creates a storm, but in the end, that's not true. And that lost translation into from game to movie, but then it doesn't make sense because the dad earlier in a different scene had even said, "There's no escape. She doesn't let you escape," and it's like, well, that's not true. Like, what, did you ever try to escape? Did anyone ever try to escape? It all just became false. And so it's just a major thing that kind of bothers me is there's no mysticism. And you could argue, and I'll talk about this more in a separate video we're doing, but there's no mysticism. And that's just, it was a really bad, like, lost from translation kind of moment. Alright, hopefully you're rejoining us if you skipped the spoiler. But overall, I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. It had some really good things going for it. The Tomb Raider actor herself did a great job. I thought, it was really interesting. But the plot just didn't add up. The translation kind of left some important things out, and it kind of ruined it a little bit. Just a little upsetting. And there's some really great moments, like I said. I just think some lackluster translation, some lackluster plot. The bad guys didn't really have much to do. And it had potential, just like many of the other video game movies. I'd like to see it done better, and I'm going to make a separate video talking about why I think video game movies end up being, poorly received and not great movies, and what they should focus on in the future to make them better movies, and why some video game movies, very few, have been actually kind of successful. But thanks for tuning in. Check back to STG. We're going to do some more movie reviews. We got Ready Player One and Pacific Rim, and Avengers is coming out in Solo, and of course we have all kinds of gaming stuff, so check back.